a few of these really harsh realities I have come to grips with as a mom. One being, my house will never be clean while my kids are young, or while there's so many of them. You're not really ever going to feel truly rested. And this is hard. I very often do not feel like I'm doing a good job. I do want to address this feeling that we're just trying to get through this season in our life. And I never want it to be like this. Why? Because this is a splendid and amazing season that, as hard as it is, and as many tears as you cry, or as many peanut butter cups as you eat in the bathroom, you are going to look back on this time and treasure it, and maybe even long for it, or just remember it with a full heart. But because it's tough, I do believe that we need to have intentional pick-me-ups during the day that aren't hard to do and don't require a lot of money or time. So I have a list of positive daily habits that you can pick from, and if you don't already do them, try them, because these are truly the happy, messy, golden years of our lives. Hi guys, I'm Danielle, and this is Hogan Life. This is where I talk about everything mom related. I'm so glad you're here. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. All right, are you ready? I think I have 19 of these very positive habits. The first is have a morning ritual drink. I'm not talking about whiskey. I mean, it could be coffee. For me, it's coffee. It could be tea or lemon water, mushroom. I don't know. What else is it that people drink? And that moment you have with your hot cup of something that says, okay, this is going to be a great day. But these little rituals we have in the chaos of the mundane can really help bring an equilibrium to our souls in just that moment. Next is make your bed. I know you've heard so much about this, but really, as a mom, you need a win. Early in the day, it's something you can control. It's something you can do right away, and it's something that makes you feel accomplished. Let's be real. You don't know what's going to happen when you go out those doors. I mean, at the very best, someone's crying just because they can't find their shoes. And at the worst, someone might be painting with their poop in their crib. Like, you've seen it all. Read just for yourself. Something that you were interested in. It could be self-help, it could be parenting, it could be homeschooling, or it could be a novel, it could be fiction, it could be the same Jane Austen over and over. I have been guilty of this because there's something about Pride and Prejudice that feels homey and satisfying and controllable. I know the ending, I'm not going to be blindsided or disappointed. Reading has been something that has been more and more overshadowed by our cell phones, our devices, our scrolling, our social media, whatever it is. People don't read anymore, and when they do, they read on devices, and I have nothing against that. But there is something soul satisfying about reading a book, turning those pages, smelling those pages, completing the book, seeing your progress through the pages. But reading also keeps our minds engaged. Sometimes as a mom, it feels like our minds are getting a little bit gooey. Is that just me? A little bit soft because of what we have to focus on every single day. You know, even though it's hard, it's not rocket science trying to figure out what is going to be for dinner. Do the dishes before you go to bed. I cannot say enough about the benefit of this habit. I believe that putting so much of the day's chores and the day's mess into the day and not bringing it into the next day is a really valuable practice. Each day has enough trouble of its own. I'm just gonna put that out there. There is so much benefit to being able to wake up to a clean kitchen because you're gonna spend a lot of time there, you know, and getting up, making your morning coffee or making breakfast for the kids without the stress of seeing the dirty dishes from last night's dinner. It is one of my habits I love the most. All right, this is a pick-me-up, or rather a kick in the butt for your body, and that is squat. There are studies that show that if you do squats 10 an hour, every hour, you actually help control your blood sugar throughout the day. If you have a stressful situation and you have cortisol spikes, doing something active like that helps your body manage that cortisol. So it might sound weird, but squatting is something you can do anywhere. You can do it while you're cooking, you can do it while you're doing laundry, you can do it while you're homeschooling. It doesn't take much time, but it uses those big leg muscles, so it really helps force the blood flow throughout your body. Read to your kids. I know that these sound like mom help tips or mom love tips, but really they are tips that satiate the soul of a mom. And reading to my kids has always done that for me. It doesn't matter their age. My daughter, who is now 18, but a couple years ago, we read Persuasion together. We read Lady Susan out loud to each other. My husband and I have read all of the Lord of the Rings together. There is nothing like sharing an adventure with the people that you love the most. an adventure that is so different from just watching a show or watching a movie together. Something that forces you to settle in to a moment. You're forced to breathe and visualize, and there's not that same stress that comes from watching movies where you have an angst because you're actually imagining the story. It's just a lot slower pace. Have an intentional time of shutting off your phone or just putting your phone upstairs or putting your phone on the charger or somewhere away. It doesn't have to be for a long time. It doesn't have to be for a whole day. Be intentional about not allowing that to be a part of your every waking moment. There is an addictive quality because of the dopamine you get when you get a text message, when you get an email, when you order something online. So just being aware of that and be thankful. The practice of gratitude daily is actually the only thing that will help you feel grateful daily. We might have a 100-point list of things we have, people we love, accomplishments we've made, but human nature somehow will focus on what someone else has that we don't have, what someone else has done that we haven't done, the vacations that someone else has gone on, all these glaring and impressive moments we witness on social media or on YouTube or any platform, even just having a conversation. You hear these special things your friends do, and there's an opportunity to compare or to feel jealous. So the only real way to change your perspective is to practice a perspective shift in the moment. We all have history, we all have past, we all have experience that we can be grateful that we've come through. Listen to something you love. It doesn't have to be a whole album, but listen to one song of something that you love. Sometimes it might feel like classical, and sometimes it might feel like Pink at the end of the night. You know, let's just get out of this funk. Let's just put on this song, let's dance around the house, and let's shift. And it certainly helps with the reshifting of the attitudes of your kids, and not that anyone else has a problem with attitudes in their kids. Go over your next day the evening before. This has been a really powerful small habit that I've done just by looking at my planner and just looking at the day, seeing if there's any meetings I have, rifle through my mental organization and to put it on paper so that I know that I can just sleep in peace. I'm not going to have something pop up that, oh, I forgot to write that down. It really helps me put my mind at ease. Read the Bible. That book is alive. It is the most powerful, the most impactful book ever written. In the Proverbs, it says, His word is life to those who find it and health to all their flesh. There is a life, there is an aliveness about the Bible, and just read it. If you don't have a morning Bible time because, well, things start with a bang, just take it to the table, take it to the fire, take it to the outside grass if it's warm, and just read a couple scriptures. I like to read to my kids out loud if they're around. This is something that I do practice now, and it's always having something to look forward to. Now, I'm not talking about necessarily a big thing, but it could be if you're planning a big vacation or something, but I'm just talking about simple things, like maybe a lunch date with a friend, maybe a coffee date, maybe getting a coffee entirely by yourself. Maybe it's a date night with your hubby, maybe it's a book club meeting. When we have something on the horizon, it seriously gives us some grit to push through some of the harder parts of our monotonous life. Take cuddle time. I don't do a lot of sitting down. And I realize, and my 3-year-old has taught me this, that she needs more cuddly moments than perhaps I'm giving her. And so, because I will sit down for maybe 1 second to do a math problem with one of my kids, and she will be there in an instant. She'll be on my lap. And so just really taking those moments to have the cuddle time, to make sure that you are sitting down enough to get hugged and loved, and reading with your kids, this really satisfies and satiates that need for your children and even for yourself. They are not always going to be these ages, and they are not always going to be this cuddly. Lastly, be intentional about your TV watching. TV, screens, tablet, everything. There's a lot of just crud out there, and I don't really know if people like flip channels anymore. I feel like there's so much streaming. I don't know if that's a thing. In an attempt to preserve sanity, an attempt to cope, I use that word very loosely. But as a mom, you don't want clutter and you don't want crud. You don't need it. So I'm not saying don't watch TV. I'm just saying be intentional. Don't watch it just for the sake of watching your hour of TV a night. And if there's nothing that you actually feel connected to, don't do it. Read a book or sit by the fire and allow silence. I am extremely jealous of my time, and I refuse to watch anything that makes me feel anxious, makes me feel fearful, or makes me feel just basically yucky. It's just not worth it. Well, that's it for today. You guys, thank you for joining me. You know, no one can mom your kids like you. You're doing a great job. And what I want for you is just a little bit of soothing to the soul by implementing some habits that will actually help, because I know it's not easy. I'll see you next time.